Jai Sri Prabhupada, Jai Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Namaste.
Haribol, Isaac, thank you very much for the wonderful kirtan with your family. Maraming salamat. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Bhagavad Gita class. Before anything, let's all pay our obeisances. Maom Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Siraswarupananda, Paramahamsa iti namine, Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adigor Bhakta Vrindavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Haribol, thank you very much, Isaac
Namaste.
and Isaac family. Maraming salamat.
Hari Bol, sir.
So, we are now going to read and discuss and continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita. No? Okay, text 48 na tayo, no? This is still on second chapter, am I correct?
Arbol, sir, yes po.
George, would you like to read? Ikaw na mauna.
Okay po, sir. Text 48.
Kindly read a little louder because you're a little bit parang
Is this better, sir?
yeah, okay na.
Text 48, translation. Be steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna. Perform your duty and abandon all attachment to success or failure. Such evenness of mind is called yoga. Purport. Krishna tells Arjuna that he should act in yoga. And what is that yoga? Yoga means to concentrate the mind upon the Supreme by controlling the ever-disturbing senses. And who is the Supreme? The Supreme is the Lord. And because he himself is telling Arjuna to fight, Arjuna has nothing to do with the results of the fight. Gain or victory are Krishna's concern. Arjuna is simply advised to act according to the dictation of Krishna. The following of Krishna's dictation is real yoga, and this is practiced in the process called Krishna consciousness. By Krishna consciousness only can one give up the senses of proprietorship. One has to become the servant of Krishna, or the servant of Krishna. That is the right way to discharge duty in Krishna consciousness, which alone can help one to act in yoga. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and as such, he practicing the Varnashrama Dharma institution. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that in the Varnashrama Dharma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu. No one should satisfy himself, as is the rule in the material world, but one should satisfy Krishna. So unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Indirectly, Arjuna was advised to act as Krishna told him. Haribol, sir.
Haribol, thank you very much, George. Maraming salamat. So, in this particular verse, Krishna is telling Arjuna that he has to fight as instructed by Krishna, so that he won't incur any sins, he won't incur any karmic reactions, no? So this is what yoga means. Yoga really means to link up oneself with Krishna. Yeah. And in this particular verse, Krishna was instructing Arjuna to simply fight, and without overthinking or thinking about what will happen next. Because normally in this world, normally when we do things, we always are thinking about what's going to happen next. No, ano bang mangyayari next? Am I going to be? Am I going to gain something in this? Like this, we are always in this type of uh, of mm, uh, of consciousness. What shall I get uh, from this thing that I'm about to do? Yeah. And he was thinking like this. Arjuna was thinking like this. He was so worried. He was so worried about fighting. He was so worried about, like uh, um, committing an offense against his teachers, committing an offense against his family members, etc. Because he was acting as if uh, he was morally right. In fact, he was even saying, Krishna, we have to follow the the moral codes of family, family tradition, like that. But Krishna has something more than that. Krishna arranged the Bhagavad Gita to happen, and it so happens that Arjuna was in the center of this plan of Krishna. So he was saying, don't worry about fighting. Don't even worry about what's going to happen, gain or lose. Don't worry, because I have planned this. I have arranged for this. Yeah. So, so this is this this is where Arjuna is standing on at the moment. You know, he was actually torn between fighting and not fighting. You know, and therefore Krishna has to give him pointers as to the pros and cons of this war. That you should not be attached, because when a person engages in activity, okay, in this world, there is a karmic reaction that's going to happen, especially if it's done for your own interest. Yeah. And Krishna wanted Arjuna to realize this properly, that in this war you just simply follow my instructions. And in all the revealed scriptures of the world, especially the Vedanta Sutra, the Vedas, the goal of life really is to please Lord Vishnu. That is the goal of life, as stated in all the revealed scriptures in the Vedas. Yeah. To engage in activity that will be pleasing to Krishna, that will be pleasing to the Lord. Yeah. And Krishna here is just reminding him to consider this, consider it. Yeah. So let's move on further. Who is our next reader?
Herbal, sir, wala pong naka-line up, sir.
What about Mr. Pravin? Text.
Haribol.
Yeah, there you go. Sige.
Yeah. O Dhananjay, rid yourself of all furtive activities by devotional service and surrender fully to that consciousness. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Purport. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, gives up all engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work just to be further entangled in material bondage. Except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. Like the misers, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. Hari Bol.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Pravin. So here is very clear. It is very clear that Krishna is telling Arjuna not to be a fruitive worker. A fruitive worker is somebody who engages in activity for his own self-interest. Yeah, which is by the way the norm that we see in the whole world right now. Everybody is just trying to work for themselves or for their extended selves, their family, and their relatives. So Krishna is telling him, Arjuna, don't be a fruitive worker. Because if you're a fruitive worker, you're considered to be a miser. You know what a miser is? Miser is somebody who is so attached to the fruits of his labor, and he doesn't even want to share it with others. He just wants to, hold everything to himself. That is a miser. So he was telling Arjuna, don't be a miser. Yeah. So in other words, when a person engages in fruitive activities, right? If he engages in fruitive activities, hold on, he will be bind in the material world, in the sea, the ocean of birth and death. It is actually a vicious cycle of birth and death. That is not the uh, uh, that is not the goal of life. The purpose of existence is really to get out from the cycle of birth and death. That is the goal. Because if you don't put that as a goal, you will just almost eternally, be put into the cycle of birth and death, misery after misery. Yeah, suffering the four miseries of life, the three types of anxiety, threefold miseries, and everything associated with it. So it happens only when you don't offer your work to Krishna. If it's not devotional service, it will directly come back to you. The action that you took will directly come back to you in the form of karmic reactions. So it is described here that only through devotional service to Krishna, okay, devotional service to Krishna, is to be considered is to be considered not miserly. Only a person who works for Krishna, who works for the pleasure of Krishna. Yeah. So there is a dictionary there is a dictionary definition of a miser. A miser is a person who hoards wealth and spends as little money as possible. Yeah, he hoards everything to himself. He works like an ass every day of his life, and then when he's able to get all the so-called repayments of his work, he hoards it. He doesn't want to. Uh, he doesn't want to give it. He just hoards it to himself. Yeah, that is a fruitive worker. A fruitive worker is a miser. Okay, so let's continue our reading.
Haribol, sir.
Anya, how's that? Shani, go ahead. Go ahead, Shani.
Good na lang, sir po. Opo. Thank you. Text 50. Translation. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad actions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, O Arjuna, which is the art of all work. Purport. Since time immemorial, each living entity has accumulated the various reactions of his good and bad work. As such, he is continuously ignorant of his real constitutional position. One's ignorance can be removed by the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches one to surrender unto Lord Sri Krishna in all respects and become liberated from the chained victimization of action and reaction, birth after birth. Arjuna is therefore advised to act in Krishna consciousness, the purifying process of resultant action. Haribol,
Yeah.
namaste po.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Shani. So Krishna really is trying to convince Arjuna, yeah, that he has to work for Krishna consciousness, that he has to work for God, because that is really our natural condition. As a soul, as part and parcel of Krishna, that is our real condition, to be engaged in the loving service of Krishna. That is where we belong. That is our environment. That is our natural duty, our natural function. But the problem is we have forgotten all about this because we have been conditioned. We have been conditioned uh, uh, to try to just act for ourselves. We have been conditioned to be uh, so-called enjoyers of this world. We ran away from Krishna because we wanted to be the supreme enjoyer in this world. That's the reason why we're in the world right now. Otherwise, we will not be in this world if we did not decide to come here, if we did not decide to run away from Krishna. But we ran away from Krishna. That's a problem. And we are suffering because of this. So Krishna is simply reminding Arjuna of his natural condition. The natural condition of the soul is to render loving service to Krishna, loving service to God, so that he will not fall into the prey of Maya, okay, or illusion. So actually, this is a very, very clear instruction coming from Krishna. And Krishna is not only talking to Arjuna, but actually talking to all of us, because Arjuna here is actually represents all of us, the conditioned souls. So when Krishna instructs this to Arjuna, he actually also directly instructs it to a sincere soul who wants to develop his loving relationship with Krishna, and also wants to uh, get out from the miseries of birth and death, and wants to achieve the purpose of life, the purpose of existence. Because it's actually very tiresome already to realize how many hundreds and thousands, even millions of births that we have taken in this material world. For every birth, the central enjoying figure is always myself. I am the central enjoying figure of every birth that I take in this material world, and it binds me. It binds me every time, because you will be repaying your debts as far as karmic reaction uh, every time you come here. Every time you engage in activity, there is an equal and corresponding reaction, and it piles up. It piles up every day of our lives. We engage in activities, right? So it piles up, and then in most cases, these karmic reactions uh, will come back to us, and sometimes even our lifetime is not enough. It's not enough to repay the karmic reaction that has been piled up since time immemorial. Yeah. But it is described here that even in this lifetime alone, if a person engages in devotional service, as what Lord Chaitanya declared, in his 8 prayers, that you know uh, he actually offered us how to get out from the miseries of life, of repeated birth and death, of a miserable condition in life, and he actually tells us that the process is very simple, very, very simple. Just engage in Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vishnu, the hearing and chanting and remembrance of Krishna in our daily lives. That's why it is very important that every day we have a solitude with Krishna. We have a solitude with Krishna. 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Just try to meditate on Krishna. Kung hindi tayo masyadong kay Krishna, let's put a picture of Krishna right in front of us, okay? And probably turn a kirtan very, 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 very soft. There's a kirtan going on by Srila Prabhupada, and then you just like have a conversation with Krishna every day of our lives. And this is actually is a direct instruction coming from Srila Prabhupada. And I would like to read you this. I would like to read you. Yeah. Um, Here you go. From our dearest Srila Prabhupada, our life and soul. Okay. There is no meaning to service without remembrance of Krishna. If we neglect to follow our vow of spending time alone with Krishna every day, then we are rejecting a relationship with our spiritual master and Krishna. Krishna is our life and soul. And Krishna is his names. So, we need to spend time with Krishna. Spend time every day with Krishna. My instruction is for all. Whether you are eager for Krishna's names or not eager for Krishna's names, you have to follow this instruction. If you don't follow this instruction, then this is called obstinacy or arrogance. This is directly coming from our dearest Srila Prabhupada. The need for solitude, the need to have one-on-one with Krishna. Then right after that, you get your beads and chant more. You chant the holy names of Krishna right there in front of his picture. If you're outside, okay lang din, because when you chant the holy names of Krishna, that is none different from Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is right there inside your heart anyway. So he listens to our prayers, he listens to our intentions. Yeah. But that is necessary. That is necessary. It is something that we have to always consider. If I want to have a loving relationship with Krishna, it has got to be on a personal basis with Krishna. So for a devotee of Krishna, everything that happens to him in this world is actually a blessing and mercy of Krishna. If things get ugly, if things get nice, etc., the devotee of Krishna just simply continue his journey towards Krishna, his relationship with Krishna. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, these pains and suffering come and go. They just come and go. Just remember, you're a spirit soul. Just remember your natural function, your relationship with Krishna. Worldly pains, they come and go. It's just a fading, passing show. Okay, next reader tayo. By the way, before we go here, to the next verse, when we talk about ridding oneself of karmic reactions, we're not only referring to the bad reactions, no? Even our good reactions, because even our good deeds, it has a reaction. So by simply chanting the holy names of Krishna, both good and bad reactions dissipates. It dissipates. Huh? Even the good, sir? Yes, even the good, because the good reactions will only promote you to a heavenly uh, state, wherein you will probably go to the heavenly kingdoms or the upper planetary systems. That is still not the spiritual world. That is still part of the material world. So, a bhakti yogi is somebody who is a servant of Krishna. His activity is devoid of so-called good and so-called bad activity. because he engages in trying to please Krishna, because it is not meant towards self gratification or self interest. He doesn't incur anything. He doesn't incur karma, and it because you're engaged in devotional service, it extinguishes the fire of birth and death, of material existence. Extinguishes, meaning nasusunog. Nasusunog yung karma natin. Yeah? So what do you call an activity that is that is uh, uh, that is meant for Krishna's pleasure? What is that? That is called bhakti yoga. That is called devotional service. When you engage in bhakti yoga, in devotional service, okay, both good and bad karma dissipates. It dissipates. Where you totally surrender your life to Krishna, surrender your mind, your consciousness to Krishna, and um, engage in this lifetime that you have surrendered to Krishna. Engage in just trying your best to serve and please the spiritual master and Krishna. Okay? So, next reader tayo.
Haribol, can I read po?
Yeah,
Haribol,
please. Please, Eleanor, go ahead.
text 51. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. The liberated living entities belong to that place where there are no material miseries. The Bhagavatam 10:14-58 says, for one who has accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of Mukti, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint, Parampadam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikunta, is his goal, not the place where there is danger in every step of life. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world, but one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material miserable life nor the influence of time and death. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness. and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a lord himself, and thus paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who understands that his position is to serve transfers himself to the service of the Lord. At once become at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord. Hari po. Thank you po.
Bible, namaste, Alinet. So, remember that there are those who are so-called transcendentalists in the world that do not accept the personality of Krishna, and um, and they pretend to be leaders of yoga in the world. Yeah, they try to make it so that one can just serve humanity. For instance, just serve humanity because humanity is Brahman, you know, and that is enough to get out from the wheel of birth and death. This, according to Bhagavad Gita, is for less intelligent men. The less intelligent men engages themselves in activity that is devoid of Krishna, yeah, and call it the goal of life. Call it the purpose of life. Um, anything, anything without Krishna is actually unintelligent. Anything or any activity that um, promotes the person, the individual as God, okay, will suffer the wheel of birth and death. He will suffer the wheel of birth and death. Yeah. So this is the problem that so-called transcendentalists are facing. In the world today, there are so many practitioners of impersonalism, Mayavadi impersonalism, where they do not accept the personality of Krishna. They even think that Krishna is like them. They even think Krishna is a conditioned soul. Yeah, which is actually a very offensive uh, action by a person. To say that Krishna is like them, to say that Krishna is is under the jurisdiction of material nature or material energy, is to say that there is no Krishna. Because Krishna, in fact, is the master of everything, and he is called Mukunda because he is the giver of mukti. Mukti means salvation or liberation. So if you totally erase Krishna, if you totally erase Mukunda, okay, then where are you? Where are you at? What will happen to a person, despite the fact that he says that he is a spiritual person? In the internet right now, yeah, in the internet, there are so many so-called gurus promoting impersonalism. This is very unfortunate. This is very, very unfortunate. And also, remember that when a person engages in devotional service is the only activity that can extricate a person from living in the material world, escape the material existence, and go back to the spiritual world, where there is no birth, diseases, old age, and death. No time. We will not be captivated by time anymore. These so-called gurus, yeah, they play the role of spiritual leaders, but actually they themselves are captivated by time, because they themselves are captivated by the grip of Maya, actually. When you say that there is no Krishna, that Krishna is just a conditioned soul like you and me, in fact, what you're saying is that um, there is no supreme personality of Godhead. That the supreme personality of Godhead, okay, is all of us. That we are all God. That we are all Krishna. And this is very, very offensive, actually. It is nowhere to be found, rather, in all the Vedic literatures, in all of the Vedas. You can never find a verse there that says that we're all Krishna. On the contrary, both the Upanishads and the Puranas, as well as the other Vedic literatures, point out that Krishna himself, is the supreme personality of Godhead, and no one exceeds him. There is no second. Krishna, rather, is second to none. Second to none means he is number one. Wala nang iba. Okay? That is Krishna. And if we engage in our natural activity, in our natural condition as servants of Krishna, then that is the only way for a person who has been traversing the ocean of birth and death in the world. That is the only way for him to escape this continuous vicious cycle of birth and death. Yan lang po, devotional service lang talaga. Wala na pong iba. Both Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam points that out very clearly. And all the revealed scriptures, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instructions, they all point out that only devotional service can extricate oneself from the continuous birth and death in the material world. Otherwise, whether you call yourself transcendentalist or spiritualist, and if you don't engage in devotional service, if you don't actually accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, you will only incur sin. And that type of activity is considered in the Bhagavad Gita as unintelligent. It is an unintelligent move by anyone who does that. Why is it unintelligent? Because it cannot give a person the ultimate mukti. The ultimate mukti. There are so many types of muktis, no? There are so many types of mukti, but the ultimate mukti is rendering loving service towards Radha and Krishna. That is the ultimate mukti, the ultimate liberation. So I think we ran out of time. If you have any questions, you may ask. Meron kayong questions? Otherwise, we will continue our discussion next Saturday. Okay, but right now, well, if you have any questions, if not, we can have a kirtan. Tanya, nandiyan ka ba? Are you there, Tanya?
Yes po.
Can you lead the kirtan, please?
Okay.
Don't forget to
I'm on the,
original sound.
okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Very well.
Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you very much, Tanya, for that wonderful exit kirtan.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat. I'd like to thank our co-host for today, Johnner or George from Baguio, and his family, Mina and Kalkidas. Maraming salamat.
Daghang salamat, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Also, Pinky Raymond Leonardo. Thank you, Pinky. Pinky. Yeah, let's all pray for Pinky. May konting karamdaman si Pinky sa kanyang I think sa mata niya. So let's all pray for her. You know, yung para sa complete recovery, no? So I'd like to thank all the readers, and the attendees, as well as all the participants who are viewing us now simultaneously in FB and in YouTube. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Yeah. Always try to attend our classes now. So Sharni, thank you very much, Sharni, for coming.
Haribol Namaste. Thank you very much, din, sir. Haribol, everyone.
And of course, Isaac, Cleo, and Krishnadasi, thank you very much for your wonderful entry kirtan. Thank you.
Madamo nga salamat sa imo, sir. Haribol.
Thank you, sir.
Wala gid problema.
Ay, gid problema, sir.
Wala gid. Mr. Pravin, thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po.
Elinet, thank you.
Haribol, Haribol. Salamat po.
Haribol. Vien Tanyada, thank you very much for coming. Yeah. We have Christian Makilan.
Haribol, sir.
Haribol, Christian. And then we have, last but not the least, si Ed Credo. Thank you very much, Ed. Okay. Have a great weekend ahead of you, guys. Tomorrow is Sunday. Today is Saturday here in the Philippines. Tomorrow we will have a question and answer session at 9 a.m. So I invite you to attend that, if you have the time. Okay? Jaya Krishna, Jaya Nitai Gaur, Haribol, Haribol. Yan. Ingat po lahat.